All right, folks, it's a Sunday, February 13, 2022. Hello and welcome to Journalist Hangout. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, today on the program, President Buhari warns APC members to stop name-calling and backstabbing. He says the party needs unity ahead of March 26 National Convention. Now, House of Representatives tells federal government to deploy Army and Air Force personnel as bandits kill 19 security personnel in attack on convoy of Kebbi State Deputy Governor, ambush and kill 63 vigilantes. And later on, the federal government removes electricity subsidy quietly, and that of petrol to come later. But let me report I'm hanging out with Gani Kayode-Balogun, GKB they call him. GKB is marching from the crowning of a new Olubadan. I greet you.
Thank you, Citizen.
Yeah. And then, of course, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, BKO, will join us from our Abuja studios. There's also Adekunle Yusuf here. Adekunle, greetings to you.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here.
So the team is ready. I hope you are too. We begin our account this afternoon with the Nigeria Police. It will not be out of place to say the police needs to be sanitized. In one of such attempts, the Inspector General, Usman Alkali Baba, has ordered that no policeman should stand on any road in any part of the country in mufti or disapproved T-shirts. According to a statement by the Acting Force Public Relations Officer Moyiwa Adejobi, policemen detailed for patrol, stop and search actions and checkpoints duties must be on their approved uniform, not a T-shirt with inscriptions like Special Forces, Commando, Gallant Mopol, Scorpion, and so on. He said policemen found wanting would be arrested and dealt with. But some are yet to comply, as we see in some vital videos of policemen caught in some untoward acts. Watch this now.
Hello? Hello? Is it the driver? Is it the motor? He's coming down to talk with two people. See harassment. I don't know anything. See how they're harassing me. See harassment. Am I the one that voice? Is it the car or is it the mother? Yes.
Is it a criminal?
GKB, we just had a little debate here. Are those men we saw in uniform?
Approved uniform.
Well, it depends on because Nigerian police has become a litany of uniforms that we cannot really say. I thought the one with the fatigue was the official uniform of the Nigerian police, but you still see some in black, you see some even in blue and dark blue. So I think the IG needs to really work very hard to stamp its authority when it comes to the way our policemen dress. Because as you know, as you say in secondary school, you are dressed the way you are dressed. And you cannot have the full implement of authority given to the Nigerian police officer if you are looking ragged and in T-shirts.
Yeah.
In most countries, even in Africa, when you see a policeman, you know he's a policeman. Even in countries like the Republic of Buni, where they only hold a baton and a whistle, they say carry the authority.
That's it.
Of securing the people.
Adekunle, at the time we heard stories that policemen in this country, in our country, in my country, your country, buy their uniforms, and so the problem had always been who clothes the policeman in this country?
I think it's the employers that should clothe every policeman and woman. But in Nigeria, you know
You are telling me?
No, everybody knows this story. They've come out to say they buy this, they use their money to do this. But the directive from the IG is very clear. The Nigerian populace, the public gets frightened, confused many times when you see all sorts of characters carrying guns, terrorizing people.
In certain uniforms.
Without wearing uniforms. Some will just put a face cap that will show Mopo. I think the IG is aware of this. When I read the statement from the IG, I said, yes, this man knows the true, depth of these problems.
But as it stands, who buys the uniform?
The state.
The state, right?
The state. But in this case, some of them, you will see a policeman wearing jeans, with one colored t-shirt or whatever, and putting on this and all that. And they are on duty. You see them on the roads. So if they commit a crime, how do you identify them? If you see a policeman in uniform, it's easy to identify because the name, designation, so many things, number, rank, everything you can, especially if you are knowledgeable enough.
Yeah.
But a policeman who appears like anybody and carrying a gun, how do we distinguish him from other criminals who masquerade as security agents? Because we have seen many kidnappers dressing like soldiers, like civil defense people, like police, like all of that. Believe me, this is one directive that, in my opinion, shouldn't just be one of those directives from the IG that will go, without, being implemented. The IG should do everything because despite the crisis of NSAS and whatever followed, the policemen are still busy intimidating people, harassing people. Then you ask, what were the gains of NSAS crisis? Because it's a watershed in our history. Have we gained anything out of it? To me, I don't believe we've gained anything. Because police harassment is still, if not worse than before. I see with my eyes, people and you watch a lot of viral videos, you watch, is it the same policemen that Nigerians, complained about? I believe by now there should have been a lot of reform that will orientate the public character of our policemen. That we are not seeing.
JKB, what we're saying in the footage tells me that if you wear a clean uniform, you must have a clean character.
And you must represent the force.
Yes.
In the best way possible. But we also have to go back to the fact that who buys the uniform? Because that is fundamental to the problem we are facing today.
Because if the state buys the uniform, it presupposes that every policeman will be clad.
Will be fully kitted.
Yeah.
Or are you insinuating that many of them don't have enough that since they have to
the
buy?
point I'm making is that when you talk to the average policeman, even as high as CP, they will tell you that they buy their own uniforms. And sometimes there's a cacophony of colors that you can spot in a journalist.
No uniform.
And you know that this is not working. Again, it's not that in other areas people don't use t-shirts or use non-tactical uniforms.
Or that you should not.
But you should know.
Easily identifiable.
The name will be there because it is done for you specifically. Your name, your rank will be there.
Yeah.
So the same thing applies to whether you wear full uniform or wear special forces uniform. Problem in Nigeria is that everybody just assume that everybody is meant to do same thing. You see, they call you a mobile police unit, and you are doing
the job of
a traffic police. And then a traffic police officer that you know very well, designated by their cap, will now be doing house arrest. And there's a lot of problems attached to the uniform. The first thing the IG needs to do is standardize the uniform and then separate it so that the man on the street will know. I'm talking to a traffic officer. I'm talking to a mopo. I'm talking to the one with the blue cap. A special forces unit. So once you know that, the person can no longer harass you.
JKB, their bearer will tell you if a particular policeman is of the medical corps,
the education corps.
That's it.
No, but everybody wears the face cap now. So
at this point, we'll join BKO Babajide Kolade-Otitoju in Abuja. Jide, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, citizen.
Jide, you must obviously, there's no gainsaying that you have seen uniforms and policemen and policewomen. So this order has come. You think it will change anything?
No, it all depends on the enforcement. What we know from history is that it's difficult to get our people to change their ways. It's not as if the police had not made efforts to clean up the excesses of his officers and men over the years. Remember, we had the ex-squad of the Inspector General of Police that went about arresting policemen who were found to have extorted money from road users, from drivers and their conductors. But it didn't stop them from the habit. Some of them even devised other means of keeping money that they had extorted from commercial bus drivers. So the enforcement has to be there, and it has to be very effective. If it is not effective, it will just go the way of other directives that the police have made over the years. With every new Inspector General of Police, we hear about checkpoints being abolished and all that in favor of motorized patrols. But our policemen still prefer the checkpoints to motorized patrols, and motorized patrols are a lot better. It means that you are not static, you are constantly moving, so that wherever crisis is spotted, you can easily nip it in the bud, and nip it in the bud in quality, in good time. So I see policemen shabbily dressed, some of them even wearing a pair of flip-flops that we like to call slippers in our country. It's just not right. I don't see policemen dressed just anyhow in other lands. When you see the American policemen, you feel like even becoming a policeman, because they'll be so neat, they'll be so cute in the way they are dressed, with their shotguns, not these long rifles that we see our policemen carry all over the place. So the determination has to be there to enforce this directive, because how do we differentiate a policeman from a Boko Haram member who is merely wearing the uniform of the police? I mean, the things have got to be better. The other arms of the armed forces, they dress better than the police.
Yeah.
And you see an Air Force officer, you'll be able to differentiate, him from other people. So this has got to, things have got to change.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that this IG means well, and they will be able to enforce this directive, at least for once. Let's have a change. All right. Let's have a change. We were told that they were going to withdraw the numerous policemen guiding VIPs in our country. But as you can see, that has not been done. Or it was merely done, it was merely announced so that it will set panic in the ranks of the VIPs, and some of them will come up with money and all that. Because we still see them, following VIPs all over the place. Sometimes up to 3 or 4 policemen guiding somebody who is not even holding any elective political position in our country.
Yeah.
So and we now lack policemen, not policemen, to do the job.
All right. Well, Mr. IG, we thank you. We hope the cleanup exercise will start from the recruitment ground, GKB and Adekunle, because whether or not you are going to have a good police or a bad one will begin from the recruitment ground. Okay, then. So we take you to Kaduna now. For a long time, the Kaduna Mafia, so-called since the Second Republic, a group of politicians, businessmen, civil servants, intellectuals, and military officers from northern Nigeria mesmerized us with their track records in different fields. Now, what we have is the Kaduna bandits, a group of outlaws that continues to hold residents by the jugular. The bandits attacked a mosque in Tudun Amada village in Giwa local government area of the state. They kidnapped as many as 24 persons and rustled an unspecified number of cattle and other domestic animals. Adekunle, we are not surprised.
Yes, we are not.
We are not, yeah.
Because Kaduna has remained in the news. I'm talking about bad news for a very long time.
For bad reasons.
No, bad
for
reasons.
Quite a while now.
So sad, and it's been If it's not kidnapping, it's killings, almost every day. And at the point when I expected that maybe things have started coming down, now we have this. So, when you kill 24, you abduct, even as far as cattle rustling. So those who suffer this are ordinary folks. We read the story of this particular incident. They enter a place and they had all the time in the world. They divided themselves into groups, those that are, abducting women, those that are rustling, cows, other animals. And you now ask, is Nigeria not under a government? The state, the local government, state and federal. So why are criminals having a free day, a whole time, to do every bad thing that they love to do? And they said from the news we had that maybe some of them may have secured freedom and all that. Maybe some people paid ransom. We couldn't verify this. But the fact that it happened again is bad enough. For how long will ordinary folks, rural areas, be able to sleep with their two eyes closed?
Yeah, GKB, and I may sound cynical, but these people are the millennium mafiosos, a
mafioso controls territories.
Yeah.
And people pay to them to survive. And Kaduna has a name before called Kaduna Mafia.
Yeah.
So the name is coming back to haunt the state.
In different...
but the people who run the state are more interested in our traffic in Lagos than solving the problem in their own states. And I don't know who is nearer to hell. Now, between those who are caught in this circle, where it is obvious that there is no governance taking place. Because if they have the time and the audacity to do this, it's equivalent to somebody robbing a bank in daylight and spending 3 hours to even have lunch.
Counting the money.
To go somewhere and count the money and go back to the bank and tell them, no, we are supposed to have 30 million. This 29,200,000. Because the job of government basically is security. That's the only job.
And welfare of the people.
No other job. Other lives and property and the environment, whatever you can protect, go ahead and secure it. That to me is the fundamental failure that we are facing as a nation.
Oh yeah. Jide, obviously Kaduna cannot say it is enjoying what's happening, but again it is here. It is here. And so you are wondering, where do we go from here?
We simply cannot retreat. We just have to find a way to solve this problem. I listened to the Kaduna State Governor the other day, and he was echoing a lot of what we had said on this program. The banditry had become such a big problem, and the way to defeat it is not to adopt the piecemeal approach, is to declare a total war in all the areas where we know that these guys are resident. Block all their exit routes, declare a total war. Let's know that we are at war. And let's commit the military fully into this. Because we simply can't be attacking them in snatches. We go to Kaduna, we attack them there, we go to Zamfara. No, that will not solve the problem. I'm happy that the governor of Kaduna State knows that, because he also said that there must be a simultaneous attack on the hideouts of these people, so that they don't get the chance to escape to safer areas. So this, we have to keep doing this. If we do not do it, these guys will continue to expand their frontiers. Because we are seeing that now. Today, the local governments where bandits are running rampant in Niger State have increased. They are even moving closer now to Kwara State. So, and that was not the case before. As for Kaduna, there are only 2 or 3 local governments that are safe in the real sense of the word, despite the preponderance of military formations in that state. The Emir of Zaria said that clearly. So we've got to do the job of protecting our people better. And government at this stage must realize that it is not protecting the people enough. The people who gave you their votes deserve a lot better in terms of securing them. But that's not happening. And bandits now are giving the people the impression that, look, you are better off paying dues to us than waiting for a government that is not there to protect you. And if you fail to pay the dues that we have asked you to pay, if you try to confront us, then you are going to pay with your lives. That's where what we are seeing. In places where they have been resisted, they've killed our people in dozens. So we have to do a much better job in all of these places, all of these states where banditry is rampant.
All right. Thank you, Jide. Gentlemen, the agreement is that democracy includes not just the right to vote and be voted for, it includes the right of living in an environment that's free of all these stresses.
Yeah. That's what government is all about.
Yeah. Okay, to our next story. You know, for more than a month now, Nigeria is still wallowing in scarcity regarding petrol and aviation fuel. While petrol scarcity is gradually easing and long queues at filling stations disappearing in some states, the situation regarding aviation fuel is still grim. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has asked, or tasks, I should say, the federal government to treat scarcity of petrol and aviation fuel as a national emergency. The NLC president, Ayuba Waba, said there's a limit to how long the people can endure the current hardship occasioned by the scarcity of the products. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, but the spokesman for the president said that we've had scarcity before, so it's not a big deal.
There must be scarcity again.
And scarcity is part of life. So where do you run to? Because you're asking the people who have shown clearly that they don't really give a rat's behind about what happens to you to solve problems that they created themselves. I was in Ibadan for the better part of last week, and I was joking with some people in government that how are you going to get to Abuja now to go and get your monthly money? And the man said they will drive. I said, good luck with that, because you're now providing more targets for those who own the roads. It is that bad. Lagos Ibadan is supposed to be the A1. That's the first road in Nigeria.
Oh yeah.
That's the name, A1. When they are moving capital from Lagos, you assume that there will be a road linking Lagos to Abuja. Maybe not directly, but in such a way that 6, 7, 8 hours, in safety and comfort, they can get to Abuja. Now, this is where the business is. Abuja is where the power is. The fuel that they use is out of the roof. To go to Abuja now, you require nothing less than 100,000 naira. Minimum wage is still 30. That means somebody will have to spend 3 months and 2 weeks salary to go to Abuja. No.
The man who earns the minimum wage must curtail the number.
So he's now left at the mercy of the roads. We have no rail system linking Lagos and Abuja. I'm using Lagos and Abuja as an example because I know in some countries in Africa, from Mombasa to Nairobi, 500 kilometers, one straight road, deliberately. So if you are coming from the airports, you are going to come to the capital, only one road links the two. Lagos to Abuja is not really that far. You cannot have one road dedicated. Like I said, it doesn't have to be one road. There could be links along the way to make sure everything comes together. But right now, the only thing we rely on to get to Abuja is to fly. And now it's getting out of hands. Because somebody told me, one of these local airlines, that there is no way they will fly next week because they run out of aviation fuel.
Wow.
That even their suppliers have run out of aviation storage. That's how bad things are.
Adekunle, mine is with 4 refineries that have become crippled, deliberately crippled, and then as a number 6, we're told number 6 crude oil producer on the planet, we're still yoking by choice
Yes, by choice. I love that one. And that's why we keep questioning our leaders that are they in office because of themselves or because of the people? Forget what they say. I've never seen any genuine action from government to show that they actually want to solve, the fuel, crisis we've been facing. The best solution to this, refined fuel in Nigeria. If we borrow money to do this, to do all that, what of our refineries, 4 refineries? This government is holding off in office to have built refineries. You don't have to do the Dangote size. But the ones you met on the ground, and this is a government that really understood the problems before it came in. So nobody can convince me against that. So why is it difficult to solve the problems? It's only one solution. Refine locally. And that doesn't require rocket science if there is genuine interest.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't government love to, punish the victims of their own failure? That is to say, the people, they will say, okay, increase the prices of fuel, remove subsidy. We don't need all these discussions. Fix the refineries, build more, then everything will fizzle out. But
hold on, licenses were awarded, approved for people to erect. What do you call it? Modular refinery. And so my question is, how come till date nothing has happened?
I hope you watch what is happening in River State, what they call modular refineries, things that will destroy everybody. You see what is happening. So refinery is not something you can give to anyhow. You have to. But when you see what is happening in places like Delta, Rivers, and all that, in fact, Governor Wike had to turn to an activist, leading, security men into the swamp, into everywhere, because he had.
You don't think that was a?
That's not a solution. That is adding to the problems.
Yeah.
The solution is not a rocket science to build refineries. Any government that is serious enough, that truly loves the people, not liars, we do it within 4 years.
All right. I don't think GD is happy about this development because I am not.
He cannot be happy. I trust him.
He cannot be. GD, so you cannot be happy.
No, well, you don't expect me to. You don't expect me to be happy when airlines that used to buy aviation fuel at 190 naira per liter are now paying between 670 naira per liter and 700 naira per liter. I mean, the difference is so huge that it certainly will impact on their profit margins. And the danger in allowing this to go on is that when airlines become desperate to make profit so that they can pay salaries and other commitments, so a lot of them are indebted to banks, then they may begin to cut corners. When they begin to cut corners, then the safety of travelers by air will be compromised.
Yeah.
Many people have warned about that we must do our best to ensure that this does not go on. The suspicion is that there are some people who are hoarding aviation fuel, making it scarce and expensive so that they can make money. But they are putting the lives of the rest of us in danger. There's no way that airlines can survive on about 700 naira per liter of aviation fuel. And we must not also get to the point where we will begin to see adulterated aviation fuel. Aviation fuel is not sold anywhere except in the airport, in the vicinity of the airport.
Yeah.
So if it gets to the point that aviation fuel is now being hogged in jerry cans, then what it means is that some of it could get adulterated. And if you fly an airplane with adulterated aviation fuel, chances are that the airplane will come down. we don't want to see any calamity in our land. The enemies of the Nigerian state who are putting all kinds of mystery, who are inviting all kinds of mystery on our country, they need to be identified and properly dealt with. I listened to one of the officials of government, one of the regulators, saying that they have enough aviation fuel in circulation. I don't know why people speak in this manner, something that is so evident. You come and lie to Nigerians the same way you claim that you had 1.7 billion liters of premium motor spirit, yet scarcity persists. I still see queues in Abuja. So what do? We have to be more serious in this country. We have to deal decisively with those fat cats who are bent on making money out of the rest of us. But just as my colleagues have said, if we had functional refineries, this whole problem would not have happened, because the whole now oil in the international market, the price is going up rapidly. It means that because we are so dependent on importation, then the price will, the landing cost here will also keep going up. And for product that is not subsidized, no one can even know where the price will eventually stop, because even diesel now is sold at between 540 to 600 naira per liter. How can companies survive on this? Companies that depend on diesel for electricity generation, even those who are building roads, they need diesel to fire their caterpillars, to fire their equipment. How do they survive? It could eventually also lead to even abandonment of projects. So we have all kinds of problems. Nobody is saying build a giant refinery. I've heard people describe Dangote's refinery as the biggest in the world, the largest in the world. Of course, this is a fallacy, because the largest refinery in the world is in India, and it is a 1.240 million barrels a day refinery. Dangote's refinery is just 650,000 barrel capacity. So how can it even be the largest in the world? It's not even in the top 5. Nobody is saying build something that big, but at least we should be able to build refineries to save us the pain and the cost, the foreign exchange that we are expending on bringing in refined products. That has to happen. If it doesn't happen in the life of this government, at least the incoming administration should make that a priority. That is the only way that we can solve this problem.
All right. Thank you. GKB and Adekunle, one statement I take from Jide is the fact that some folks find it very, very convenient to hoard just to make quick money. And many of them are so rich, all they have are so poor, all they have is money.
Because we lack payment for actions. There are no consequences. When we have this bad fuel, it's been over 2 months. Remember what the government said, that they're going to fish out and punish those.
Oh, okay, please.
And then nothing happened.
We'll do it. That's for another day. Okay, let's go to our next story. You know, these are testy times for the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and those concerned should be worried. And why not? President Muhammadu Buhari is certainly worried and has warned APC members against name-calling and backstabbing. The president also said the APC needed no division at the moment, as nothing would stop the March 26th National Convention of the party. Adekunle, I said the other day, the APC has let all the dogs out.
The APC, it's an embarrassment to democracy. I have to say it. A ruling party that is behaving like an opposition party. And it's so sad.
By choice.
Of course, by choice. A ruling party that is creating crisis for itself. And when you want to think the small crisis will be fished out, they will add more. So I describe the party as one that is in a hole and is digging further and sinking further. So when they say the president is concerned, well, rhetoric is free, I want actions, because the president himself hasn't, as to the best of my knowledge, hasn't shown enough leadership. It's emerged from that party, and right from day one, if you trace the history of crisis in the APC from 2015, the moment the president emerged, so he just something like aloof to what is happening in the party, which shouldn't be. And you will see the body language, even utterances of some of the governors and all that I'm talking about APC governors, they all say, oh, the president has approved me to do this.
Let's confirm this. I hear out of 36 governors, APC has 22?
Yeah.
I think
22,
including, you know,
and one deputy governor.
You know, remember some people defected from...
No, they have 22.
Yes.
So it is the majority party.
So it is what
the ruling
APC,
party.
it is what APC does that affects the country. Within their party, affects democracy in Nigeria. That's why we are saying they are becoming a threat even to democracy, even to themselves. Because when you look at the way they are running the party now, from one crisis to another, a small crisis to a bigger crisis to a bigger crisis to a bigger crisis, the president is now saying, just look at the way governors are attacking themselves one another. In public. And they are so happy to bring it to the newspapers, to the media houses. And I say, okay, a ruling party, it should be an embarrassment to the president, because no president will be happy having all these kind of people, governors around him, rubbishing the party that made him president.
JKB, even Adekunle Rotimi Akeredolu refer to some of them as the Yahoo governor. You know, it's a number one citizen.
Well, we all know they were a collection of strange bedfellows, basically, but we never knew they were also nagging wives. We are using the metaphor, of course, that the president is the husband and the governors are the wives. Because normally,
very powerful wives.
Because right now, like Kunle said, we are not even looking at a badly run party. We are looking at a badly run kindergarten party. Because only small children can behave this way when you are giving power to run our lives. When they said that INEC said certain things cannot be done, it was funny to me, because the law of the party was clear. There must be an elected NWC. This same president threw that one out to put in caretaker committee. And now the same president, according to the governors, is now throwing this one out to put under caretaker committee. So what made the first one right and made this one wrong? Then you realize that we have a problem in this country. It's beyond interpretation.
Sometimes you wonder if certain things you hear in the news are true. 208 cases.
Imagine. Because it is very funny that a ruling party will deliberately box itself into this corner and then look for the hardest part of the wall to bang itself upon. Yeah. That's how bad things are. If I got to a point that most journalists don't even want to talk about the problems of APC anymore. Because no matter what you think you know today, it will be worse tomorrow.
Yeah, might change.
Tomorrow worse, not better.
But remember that the caretaker committee that supposedly dismantled now, eventually court, recognized it. You get my point? But this one, I always say
the Niger State governor one.
Yes. Yeah. Democracy is about rules, it's about processes. The process that brought in this one, I'm afraid, means very dangerous things for that party, because anything, you cannot build something on nothing. The only thing you are saying, the president has told you to go and do it. That's not how democracy works. You have every right to remove your leadership at any moment.
But follow the process.
But there are processes, there are rules you must follow. So the way they are all behaving now, I'm now saying, what's the difference between the ruling party and the people we call National Union of Road Transport? They are the ones that just go in there, change leadership at any day, any minute, without anything.
Well, Jide, you talk about the APC and you think you are watching a poorly produced home video,
Well, this whole thing is just about contest for power. We have talked about it repeatedly. 2023 elections are approaching, and political parties and the power people within them are trying to position themselves to take the spoils. It's the same thing that is happening in the PDP. But the PDP have found a way to conduct a convention, and they had little or no crisis to go with it. But of course, the APC is a bigger party. There are many states where once a candidate emerges for the APC, that candidate is as good as having won the election. So the battle for positions in the APC, the battle for power in the APC, of course, is going to get much more frenetic than any other party. The PDP faced the same problem, and eventually the PDP imploded. That was what the president was warning the party members against, that learn from what happened to the PDP. The PDP became so strong at a point, it even imagined that it could rule for more than 50 years. But where are they today? They lost power. So he's warning them to stop backstabbing one another, to stop the name calling. Because we've seen governors even call fellow governors Yahoo governors. When you say that in an election year, because we have less than a year to the elections, in an election year, you are demarketing your party. Whatever Buni may have done, we have just a few days to the convention of the party. Why not just hang on? And especially when removing him may become a big legal issue, why not just hang on and not take the risk of putting the party in the position where it found itself in respect of Zamfara? Why not just hang on? And I think what the INEC has done should serve as a warning to the APC that laws are meant to be obeyed. The Constitution recognizes only the chairman and secretary of political parties. And the INEC chairman will not take any list of candidates not presented to him by the chairman of the party. So the chairman and the secretary are the people that the Constitution and even the INEC regulations recognize. So they've got to find a way to bring back Buni so that he can complete the job that he has started. I can see that for some of the people who are denying that Buni was kicked out, it was because they realized that the power to kick him out did not rest with the people who kicked him out, and they felt that only the neck of the party or even the convention of the party, which is the most powerful organ of the party, can take that kind of decision. So right now, the best thing to do is to let him complete the job that he has started. If you said that he did not want to conduct a convention of the party, and you are pointing at signs that he did not want to conduct the convention, now everybody can see that whether he likes it or not, the convention has to take place. But in order to ensure that the party does not dig itself into another legal hole, they've got to do what is right. And what is right is that the chairman of the party as well as the secretary, they are the only people who can write to INEC, they are the only people that the INEC recognize. So they should go ahead, let the convention take place under the current leadership. They should do their best to ease out the current leadership that has been there since June 2020, so that a new crop of leaders can emerge. I like the language that the president used, because the president was not really attacking any group. but was preaching unity and telling them that, look, as you are approaching an election, you don't then go around abusing yourselves and washing your dirty linen in the public. And that was the same thing that the Zamfara governor said. So governors should be much more mature than coming out to call each other names, coming out to abuse each other the way we are seeing. This is not just for power. Power is transient. Why should people lose their heads over the matter of power? And when you contest against yourself in this way, there will be some who will say to, because I've lost out, then the party must also lose out. Such people do not deserve to occupy party positions. So as the president said, they've got to learn from the mistakes of the former ruling party and do what is right. People are embarrassed, party members are embarrassed by some of the fighting words that have been used by APC leaders against one another in the last few days. And now is the time for them to come together and resolve their differences. I understand that Buni will be coming in between Monday and Wednesday. We want to see what happens. Will he simply go back to the secretariat of the party and resume work? Perhaps the governors will be able to call themselves together and say, look, let us just let this guy finish this job. I hope they'll be able to put their differences aside and say, okay, in the interest of the party, let's allow this guy to finish the work that he has started so that the party does not end up putting itself in trouble the way it happened in Zamfara. Because all of those 208 cases, the party must find a way to put them aside, to brush those parties, address the content of those cases and ensure that there is no lacuna that can put the party in even more problems.
Yeah, and GKB Adekunle, power, they say, is nothing without control.
Yeah.
So if the big idea is to grab power and you are dismantling the house, when you now are in power, Adekunle, so which table would you sit on?
You build a new one.
That's one
Build
thing.
a new table.
That's one thing I take away from what Jide just said now. They need to come together. I believe strongly that unless they revert to the Buni thing, whether they like him or not, and find a way to get things done properly, everything this is acting something you call it,
yeah,
everything that is done through them will be swept. The courts, Nigerian courts won't take this kind of things, because at the end of the day you produce presidential candidate, all these things you are writing to, all those things you are doing, you cannot build something on nothing. And if you know that, get your house in order. This Zamfara drug is still available in our courts. They will they will apply it, and no matter how bitter and putrid it is in your mouth, you call for it. We don't want that to happen, and the APC can see savage the situation. I believe strongly.
Yeah. Adekunle, Jubril is reaching us from London. Jubril, good afternoon. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the privilege, the opportunity given to me now to speak to you.
Okay then.
I'm a member of APC, a strong member of APC. I wanted to say something regarding this.
Go on. You are on air now. Go on.
Okay. The issue of this Malabumi that they've dropped. If APC doesn't take time, this will bring the party down to the grassroots. Because already, they are losing already our own personality at the moment. Jide just said something now that APC is the biggest party as of today. We are the biggest party when governors, they start jumping to APC, but not the grassroots. We are very far. We are very, very far. It's all about the grassroots. So APC need to buckle up, call the house together, so that we can go for election and win it. Otherwise, we are losing everything. Here, even in the UK, most of us cannot even talk about APC. Most of us here cannot talk about APC. because of the present dispensation going on in Nigeria, insecurity and other.
Okay, thank you very kindly. You know, JKB is, they say our politics very predictable because an election is approaching, so there must be this madhouse, so to speak. And you hear things like, politics, Nigerian then go settle them. Question time is the master in all of these things, and the opposition PDP is watching for the loopholes.
There is a Yoruba proverb that says that the man in rags dancing the night away, the dawn will soon come up. You understand what I'm saying? He is wearing rags, so because it is dark, he can dance as much as he wants.
Yeah.
But daylight will soon come.
Yeah.
Daylight has come for APC now. Because they've been dancing in the dark since this contraption called caretaker committee started. I know because I said it on this program when I said that you cannot sweep aside the constitutionally recognized authority of your party and create a lacuna. That lacuna will come back to bite you, and that's what we are going through now. Because when the Oshomole problem started, some of us said sweeping away the entire structure is not the answer. The president has the power to call everybody to order, like he just did back then. But they thought the best thing to do was to sweep away everybody and come up with a caretaker committee for 6 months. As you and I know, that has now elongated itself to almost 2 years. This problem did not start today, but the dawn has come. And like Gide said, if nothing is done now in the next few weeks to save the party will die a natural death. It's not, I'm not praying for it, it's not a curse, it's not the reality based on the Constitution and the Electoral Act. That things must be done within a particular time. That's
if your prayers get heard so easily by God, why not pray for peace for them?
You know what I'm saying? I said it's not daylight. So the man in rags must now know how to conduct himself.
No, by GKB, the party will not die. I'm too sure about that. But
it
may lose power. No, the APC will not die. It has come to stay. But there is a difference between being alive and having power. Because the essence of coming together as a political party is to seek power. So when you have power, you only have life.
When you are alive.
Yes, you have life. But when you lose power, you lose life. You see how miserable PDP is now? The same old boisterous PDP. Look how miserable it has been since 2015. You get my point? So I don't see APC survive this level of turbulence that the PDP has survived. So if the APC loses power, it's going to be very disastrous for the party. It may not die, but it become a shadow of itself.
What's the difference?
The difference is the same. I wonder how Jide takes this home.
Yes, I will want to see how the president handles this matter. We understand that the major stakeholders in this contest for power, they've been going to London to see the president to disturb his rest. The president has to put his foot down and do what is right. He has enough people who can advise him on what is right, what is legal. No one is saying that Buni is without fault. Certainly not. He's played his part in making the party stronger by way of bringing in big shots into the party. He's done that very well and he's been commended for that. If there are other things that he has done that suggest that if he continues to do such things, it could bring the party down, then he needs a lot of talking to And that's why the president is there, because he's the father of all and is the leader of the party. They have got to then monitor the caretaker committee very, very well. There is no reason to have a caretaker committee in place and not monitor the activities, because when the caretaker committee does things that are wrong, they effectively sideline well-meaning members of the party. And there are so many people who contributed their own resources, who have never been compensated in any way, but remain faithful to the party. Such people will not want the party to fall for any reason. So they have got at this stage the president has got at this stage to rally everyone behind the cause and get them to continue to run the party the right way and push it over the line. When I'm talking about over the line, I'm referring to the March 26th date of the convention.
Yeah.
So that once this is done, then we can be sure that at least a new set of leaders will emerge, and people, Buni and co, will be eased out of power.
Okay. GKB will go on a break very shortly, but let's consider this. In politics, according to Churchill, we have said in politics you are killed many times, in war you are killed once. So politicians know about these things.
Yeah.
And so they know how they play their game.
They do, but if they are putting the lives of 200 million Nigerians and their well-being at stake, then we must call them to order. Incidentally, you and I know that once a governor emerges, it becomes the alpha and omega in that particular space. And they've been doing this since 2003.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything in the future that will change that reality. That to me is unfortunate. Because governors, if they have used this unity for good, to change the constitution, to do things for our common good, I'll be the happiest for it. But it seems that all they want to do is create a cabal of governors, what I call governocracy. A governor by governors, a government by governors, for governors, and to take care of governors.
All right, then we'll go on this break and come back. Please don't leave us just yet. This is Journalist Hangout. All right, let's go to our next story. You know, many deaths, too painful. That's how best to describe the festering security situation in Kebbi State, northwest Nigeria. As bandits... All right, let's go to our next story. You know, many deaths, too painful. That's how best to describe the festering security situation in Kebbi State, northwest Nigeria. As bandits relentlessly unleash mayhem on not just hapless villagers, but even the VIPs. Last week, the report came in that bandits killed 19 security personnel during an ambush on the convoy of Deputy Governor in Ghania, Danko Wasagu local government area. Now, 63 members of a vigilante group were similarly killed in the Sakaba Council area on the night of March 6. In the wake of the killings, the House of Reps called on the federal government to deploy more military personnel to the affected areas. Now, reaching the resolution after a motion of urgent public importance by Tanko Sununu and 7 other members from Kebbi State, the lower chamber also asked the military to establish 2 outposts at Yahuri and Sakaba local government areas of Kebbi. Now, the lawmakers also want a state of emergency declared on insecurity in the northwest and other parts of the country. GKB, just before we go to our guest, can we quickly talk about the attack on the deputy governor?
It is unfortunate, but it's a reality check that nobody is really safe in this environment. Because normally you expect somebody that protected, that secure to escape such an ambush. But look at the number of personnel that were lost. I don't even want to quote it like some people are doing on social media with the number of people that were attached to one deputy governor. That is irrelevant. What's relevant that people are serving their country and they lost their lives in the course of duty. That to me is the saddest part. Not whether they are on duty for other reasons or whatever else people are talking about.
Of course, the deputy governor, as the number 2 citizen,
must be
is
protected
entitled to be protected.
So I want our Nigerians to always look at it from that direction, that security affects everybody. And this is unfortunate in any form or shape that you want to look at it.
Yeah, yeah. Adekunle?
Well, those calling on as do more security posts, do more. I don't see that as as the solution. I don't know of any state that has more military presence than Kaduna State. Is Kaduna peaceful today?
This Kebbi.
I know. I'm just talking about if having military formations here and there are the solutions. Is Kaduna safer today than any other state in Nigeria? And you have many more military units and formations in Kaduna than anywhere in Nigeria. So the problem is problem of banditry, problem of terrorism, because I believe this is act of terrorism.
It is terror.
You kill about 20 soldiers of Nigerian military. That's callous. Some days before that, this same bandits killed close to 100 vigilante members. So they carted away military truck, AK rifles, so many things like that. What is more, believe me, I don't even see them as bandits. I see terrorists.
But they are.
That's what they are.
They are.
Because you laid ambush and you killed 18, 19 Nigerian soldiers. To me, in fact, I can't even figure it out.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Okay.
Because there was a point in Nigeria that you kill one soldier, you can be rest assured the army will get you. Now they kill top officers and nothing happens. They even done away with those people who rejoice that they've killed senior military officers.
19 soldiers in one
19 soldiers in one fell swoop.
All right. We'll turn things over to Barrister Sani Yaro. Sani Yaro is in Kebbi State. He's going to shed some more light on the situation there. Barrister, good afternoon. Are you there? Okay, let's get to Jide first of all, while we establish a link with Barrister Sani Yaro. Jide, so Kebbi, it was Kaduna yesterday, today it's Kebbi. What more can we say? What more can we say?
ɗinka na an kai.
It is not as if those bandits have set up camp in Kebbi, but they are constantly moving into the Zulu Emirates. And you will see that it is in Zulu Emirates where they have been constantly killing people. The other time they killed 88 persons in one day. Now,
that's like
this past week, they've killed 18 soldiers from the 223 battalion stationed in Zulu, as well as vigilantes, 63 vigilante men who were lured into a cul-de-sac, because naturally the vigilance men should have retreated, but they didn't know that when these bandits were running away from them, they were trying to lead them to a place where they had already positioned their fighters, and then they wasted these guys. Something drastic has to be done about protecting Zulu Emirate. Zulu Emirate, as we all know, is one part of Nigeria that has produced more generals than any other part of our country. They've also produced many DIGs. In fact, in all spheres of life, they produced fantastic people. When we're talking about even sons, there are 6 sons from Kebbi State, and 3 of them, including the brilliant Oseni Zakaria, are from Zulu Emirate alone. They have more than 60 professors from that part of Kebbi State. More than 65 major generals. Remember the Bameyi brothers.
Oh yeah, they are Zulu.
They are from this Zulu Emirate. But in spite of the fact that they have many retired police generals and army generals, that area has come under consistent attack these days from bandits. And that's why I will support the reinforcement of security in that area, since we know now that the attacks by these bandits appear to be localized in that area. So it will be a lot more, it will be a lot easier to defend the area, unlike a state like Zamfara and Kaduna, where more than 3/4 of the local governments in the state are under attack, or even Katsina, where about 10 to 12 local governments are constantly under attack. The local governments in the Zulu Emirate are just 4. So we should be able to protect these 4 local governments and stop the hemorrhaging of human lives in that area. Since we know that they come in through Rijau local government in Niger State and from Zamfara, Bukuyum, we should be able to block the areas through which they come into Kebbi State and protect our people. We can't continue to lose lives in this way. And I'm sure a lot of us have seen videos of wives of those soldiers who were killed, who went to the home of the commanding officer of the light tank battalion, Zuru, to go and protest about the loss of their husbands. We've got to do something drastic to stop these killings. It's just too much in one state.
All right. Now we'll attempt to reach a lawyer and principal partner at the Chonoko Law Chamber in Birnin Kebbi. Birnin Kebbi is the capital of Kebbi State. Barrister Sani Yaro is waiting there. He's joining us via Zoom for more insight into the security situation in Kebbi. Barrister, are you there? Good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
Happy meeting you.
Yeah, it's our hearts are heavy, like yours. We are sorry about what's going on. But what picture can you paint for us now?
Yes. Yes, there has been security concerns within the 4 local governments of Zulu Emirate as well as Yauri Emirates of Kebbi State for the past few weeks due to incessant cases of banditry, cattle rustling that resulted into a lot of humanitarian crisis, which led to the loss of lives of many gallant men of the soil, especially the people that are popularly called Yansakai. Not only them, during the incessant attacks over the weeks, even the Nigerian military has lost their gallant men in a town called Kanya. So the overview of the situation on ground is that these bandits normally operate from 4 walls of the state, particularly from Bukuyum local government of Zamfara State, Dansa, the local government of Zamfara State, and Bangi local government of Niger State. So all these local governments bordering Zamfara, as well as the Bangi local government bordering Niger State, the local governments of Zulu Emirate were infiltrated by these bandits, and they have their field day for many weeks now operating unabated, which led to the loss of lives, properties, causing humanitarian crisis, and a lot more. And I will tell you that if you look at the axis from Zamfara axis, these bandits normally come from Bukuyum local government to a town called Akao. From Akao, they move to what we call Baruba, and from Baruba, they will have their access to Dankade, Regum, villages from that axis. And if they operate from Ertasha also in Bukuim local government, they will have their way to Dankade, Shangal axis. They will now access every part of Zuri Emirate from that route. The same thing applies if they are coming from Bangi local government. Normally, they will operate through Ayu, which is a ward in Dankosogo local government, which they will have them access to a village called Mesa. And from Mesa, they will move up to Udechi. From Udechi, they will move to between Kanya and Gwazawa. And that particular location, there is a particular forest and a cattle route, which will give them an advantage to infiltrate villages like Gwazawa, from Gwazawa, Koro, up to Dungu villages, and they will access up to Chikoka, and that will give them an advantage also to operate to villages like Bedi and the rest, which will lead them to inside Zulu local government. And another route again, which these people operate, all these bandits, or rather terrorists operate, they will also operate through Bangi local government, through a village called Muguria that will access them through Dankolo, Daura, and from there they will infiltrate a village called Doka. And it's that Doka there where our gallant men of Ansaka lost their lives last week, particularly on the 5th of this month, where about almost 70 of them lost their life in one expedition. So if you look at the scenario generally, is that Zuri Emirate, particularly the 4 local governments of Zuri Emirate, has been the field day where these bandits has been operating unabated. And in addition to that, one of the major problems that is happening, the successful checkmating of these excesses, is characterized with lack of sufficient manpower by the security agencies. This has resulted that it's just in a situation whereby you have bandits moving in convoy of 300 of them, carrying 3 heavily armed men with 3 AK-47 rifles, in addition to RPG, infiltrating a location or close to a location of a military post that doesn't have more than 10 men, only with their AK-47 rifle, which conventionally it will be very suicidal for those 10 men to confront these bandits. So if you look at the background of the security architecture within the Emirates, there are not a lot of foot soldiers on the ground that could be able to do this operation. Even the efforts of Ansar Akai, why there has been a lot of casualties in the side of the Ansar Akai whenever they engage, these are people that use them guns and other locally made guns they call Wagila, and it will be unprofessional or unconventional at this critical moment of our life and the challenging securities across the globe to think that people holding a damn gun or locally made gun could confront somebody holding AK-47 rifle, AK-49 and RPG guns. So I think it is so disheartening, honestly speaking, if you are to go by the background of men we lost within this year. If you take a background check, you will understand that there were attacks that happens at the tail end of 2021 up to the present time we are in. The attacks in Dokankwaya, sometimes last year, we lost a lot of men, ranging about 107. Around Dankade, we lost about 37 men on one expedition. The same thing applied to Gaya village. And surprisingly, it will surprise you the way these people have been operating all these days. There was an attack just of recent where it was just 2.5 kilometers away from Ripa. Ripa happens to be my local government, and there was attacks in Zutu village where some of our friends lost their lives, killed by these, they were killed by these bandits. And it's just 2.5 or rather 3.5 kilometers to the local government headquarters, which is very apprehensive if they could operate in such a magnitude to some extent to infiltrate up to the close to the local government headquarters. So as I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, go on, go on.
Yes, as I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of villages that nobody lives in those villages now. If you look at a village called Dankade, nobody lives in Dankade now. And Dankade is suburb of Bukuyum local government, bordered by Zamfara. The same thing applies to a village called Regum, Regum, after Regum, Kedebu, all these are villages that are bordered in Dankosobu local government, particularly Weje, or rather the people of Chinoko, as they are popularly called. All these villages, nobody lives in those villages. A lot of those people now are live in IDP camps in Unashi, Korgie, and some other villages. And the same thing applies if you go to Unashi. All the neighboring villages that were infiltrated, they have their IDP camps also there in Unashi. The same thing applies if you come to the local government headquarters, that is Ripa, that is the headquarters of Dankosobu local government. All the primary school, we know of Atagomo, the Central Primary School, the Nizamiya, the NYSC Primary School, and including state housing estates that were built that are yet to be occupied or distributed by the government of the day, were all occupied as IDP camps by these people that are facing these incessant attacks on daily basis. The same thing applies if you look at the cases of Ayu and other IDP camps in Machika. As I'm telling you, as at yesterday, even some women gave birth there at the IDP camps. And if you look at it analytically, that has been a kind of humanitarian challenges bedealing the people of that area. And I will further add that, though there has been an intervention from the side of the government, which we are grateful to some extent of what they have done in terms of providing relief materials, but we still appeal to the government to do more in terms of catering to the welfare of the displaced persons, especially in all the communities where lives were lost. I will authoritatively tell you that these people have roasted a lot of cows. In some communities, they roasted about more than 1,000 cows. In some communities, 800. In some communities, 100 and something. So our people are now economically impoverished. And these people are agrarians. They rely on farmers. They farm. So if these issues are not put in place, the rainy season is fast approaching, and our people are going to face a problem because they cannot return back to their farmlands.
Barrister Ayaro, yeah, Barrister Ayaro, but it's a little curious that an environment like yours, where you have a number of retired generals, will not cannot boast of security presence. It's a little curious to us.
Yes, so if I will respond to that, sir, if you look at the way we are now, it's not all about being a general. It's whether the political will by the leaders of the day is there to put check on these excesses. A general retired is a retired general. He cannot issue any order. But what we are saying is that there has been an engagement severally with the government of the day to be able to put up these machineries in place to check these excesses. And let me tell you, what profilated the issue of this Sakai to take the bull by this one is because the security architecture on ground are not enough to do the job. If you look at the vast border, bordering from Zamfara to Dankosobu to Zulu Emirate, I will tell you it's more than 300 to 400 kilometer border. And these people infiltrate from each angle of these borders. So by and large, if you look at it analytically, how many soldiers are on ground to be able to do that, almost policemen? And that is why we are talking of the integration or a synergy between Yansaka, the local vigilante of our community, with the soldiers to work harmoniously for the purpose of putting check on these excesses for law and order to be restored in those communities. And I will tell you that if that is properly done, the Sakai will be properly integrated. Tactics will be given to them because these bandits, in fact, they are given military training. They know how to put a surprise attack on people. But these Sakai were not properly trained to be able to engage these bandits or terrorists in this kind of incessant attack that we are facing in our communities. So there are a lot of challenges. The governor of the day, I know he used to visit all these affected areas at some point in time. But one thing that remains obvious is that the government has attempted to do a little push with respect to that. But what we are appealing, their good was not enough. What we are trying to plead to them is that to put more efforts by making it a case, because one of the major problems sometimes, you don't make a security issue an issue when it comes to the issue of Kebbi State. For example, we used to be infiltrated from Niger and Zamfara. And some people will begin to believe that, no, it's just a flashpoint. Maybe it's a transit when these people are moving from Zamfara to Niger, they have to pass through Kebbi. But one critical issue is that this banditry is economical now in nature, because majority of people who lost their lives, they were people who put a check on their excesses on their way, rustling our cattle from Kebbi to Niger or to Zamfara.
Yeah.
In absence of any confrontation, challenging their excesses about the cattle they are rustling, loss of lives used to be very minimal. But the majority of these El Sakai that lost their life, if you look at it, is confronting them at the time they are taking these cattle or cows from Kebbi State to either Niger or to Zamfara. Once there is that confrontation, certainly we used to lose a lot of men in that expedition. So if you look at it analytically, that we are playing to the government of the day to put more effort by providing a lot of logistics. And I appeal to them to integrate this NSAK and give them some regimental training upon which they will incorporate them to complement the effort of security agencies, which has shown to be insufficient in stemming the excesses of this banditry on act of terrorism within Zulu Emirates and some parts of Yaouri in general.
Thank you, Barrister. Thank you very kindly. GKB, you know, the trouble here is women and children will take the rap when these idiots come. And you are wondering, how long more? So the call for a state of emergency to be imposed is right?
Yeah. In fact, I thought they would have declared a state of emergency in the Northwest about 3 years ago when it started spreading. You know, there was a time it was rampant in Katsina. They moved to Zamfara and then moved along the line. But you want me to talk to Barrister?
Go on.
Barrister,
I have a question for him. Barrister Yaro, are you there?
Are you there?
I'm there, sir.
Wonderful. The point I'm trying to make is that about a year ago, the governors of the Northwest came together to work together. I said the governors of the Northwest.
About a year ago.
About a year ago, came together to work together to make sure that everywhere is secured. But from your explanations now, seems that most of these local governments are on their own. What is really happening to that cooperation that was promised last year?
Do you remember? Do you remember a thing like that? Do you remember?
That what?
That the governors of the Northwest came together and thought this is the way forward, and so on. The governors thought
that last year governors of the Northwest states came together and agreed that there should be cooperation in the way they address this insecurity crisis. What has happened to that, you know, arrangement?
Honestly speaking, I want to categorically tell you that there was somehow some cosmetic and political statement with respect to the security problem of that community. And I want to tell you that all these statements were not followed up. Because if you look at the extent of to which those communities were infiltrated, and let me tell you, these people used to have their field day. They knew very well that there are not a lot of security men on ground to be able to check their excesses. Yeah. They don't come on they come on broad daylight and they operate on broad daylight. So the issue is that we will request for more political and sincere commitment, not only a political commitment, but a sincere political commitment in this respect. There should be massive redeployment of arms and ammunition, armor tankers, and whatever, RPGs, AA guns to be able to contain these people. And if that is done, the vigilante should be integrated because they are the one that knows the terrain more than the military men that will arrive the area for this operation against these terrorists.
All right, Jide, do you have any more queries for Barrister Sani?
Okay, Barrister Sani, thank you so much for the very deep insights. That I want to take you back to Government College. The girls have been made pregnant by these bandits. Not only are they made pregnant, some of them were sent back to their parents even with this reports are being made by in the community to ensure the release of the students who are still the students of Federal Government College who are still
he's talking about.
I think we lost
with Jide and Barrister Sani Yaro, of course, lawyer and principal partner at the Chonoko Law Chamber in Burning, Kebbi. Barrister Sani Yaro shared some developments in the Northwest with us. Of course, the situation there is very dire, to say the least, you know.
Yes, I agree with him on some of the measures and think what he recommends. But to me, I will go with a Rufai's, solution in terms of you don't concentrate on one state at a time, because the moment you flush them out of that place, they go to the nearest state, they believe it's safe for them, and all that you do a massive total military operation across the country. I don't know whether we have enough men and resources to do that, but at least that is one recommendation we've had repeatedly from Rufai.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that he's even saying it because he's in government, why he has not,
and he
handed over this.
He has a privileged information.
And why he has not been able to convince the commander-in-chief to do this. That's another question.
Yeah, I can report that Barrister Sani Yaro is back. Okay. Barrister, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, Jide was trying to know what the update is about those girls that were presumably or that's said to be impregnated by the bandits and so on.
Yeah, you see, I can authoritatively tell you that one of the victims of this, one of my clients, happens to have a daughter that was abducted during that abduction in Buni, sometimes last year. And she has confided in me authoritatively that a lot of these young girls were even married to these terrorists in Dogo Gides camp. And some of them that are available because of some ethical issues, some people don't want to come out and say, this is exactly what is happening, and this is exactly what happens to their children because of the environment we belong to. But information going around was that a lot of them were pregnanted by these terrorists. In fact, she even confided in me the circumstances of how these girls were pregnanted. That Dogo Gide used to tell them that his children doesn't commit adultery. So they will ask them to name their dowry, or you'll be the one to name their dowry, mostly 20,000 naira, and you'll be given the 20,000 naira, and a lady will be assigned to one terrorist. This is one of the disheartening information that we are able to get from some reliable information that comes across us. But this is something that you cannot get from other quarters because of the environment we find ourselves.
Thank you, Barrister Sani Yaro. Thank you very kindly for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, GKB, this is traumatic, hearing a thing like that.
Normally, people in government, like Kule said, must be held liable for not giving us enough information.
Yeah.
Because you cannot really, Yorubas will say that is the level of the voice you raise. You react to the kind of reaction.
It's how loud your alarm is.
Because if you are pretending that things are at a particular level, people will respond with that particular level.
Yeah.
So, but we now know that we are in that straits. even beyond the point where we all knew that local people had no choice but to cohabit and to do business with the terrorists. But it's now getting to a point that the terrorists seems to have a moral hold on our countryside.
And then there is the poor media coverage in some parts of Nigeria. A lot of things, terrible things happen that hardly get into media, narratives. You get my point? If you move across Nigeria, there are some states that you hardly know whether the media is interested in covering such things.
And the people who do those space,
a lot of things, when you now get to know, you say, wow, so this is happening here.
And sometimes people will not be forthcoming
and you will not get to know.
With information.
Okay, how do they, make noise? How do they get their voices out when you have poor media coverage?
Call it government magic or power or what you like. Electricity subsidy is gone, and for good. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has let it be known that the federal government has quietly removed the subsidy on electricity tariff. Speaking during a virtual meeting of the African Finance Ministers and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the minister said a planned gradual and quiet removal of subsidies on petrol is on course. GKB, are you surprised? Are you amused? Are you angry?
No, not surprised, not amused, not angry, just relieved. Because sometimes
the anxiety is gone.
Sometimes it's very hard to know that you are going to get a particular punishment. There's somebody to keep telling you that you'll be okay. Don't worry, there's no injection. Don't worry, you're not getting injection.
Some people claim the positive. Yeah. It is well.
That you only get drugs, but there'll be no injection. At least the woman is applying the injection now, and you will be relieved. Incidentally, again, like when we started, the job of government is security, power generation, which some people assume is a security matter, has now been thrown open as a business venture. Most people don't realize that in most countries, keeping a cap on certain public utilities is a fundamental security matter. But where we are, removing every pretense that we are doing anything, and we're now at the mercy of the discourse. We've been on the mercy of discourse for a while, but they keep pretending. And
been dancing to the disco.
Because we have nothing to do.
Disco music.
Every time they increase the tariff, they increase it quietly. If you are buying a unit that will last you a week before, to not last you 2 days, you make inquiries. At the time you call this funny agency, Electricity Regulatory Commission, and they laugh to your face.
NERC.
Because they even pretend they know what's going on. So we just have to take our medicine like men, pretend that we don't, and move on.
Adekunle, you are not angry, you are not amused.
No, I'm angry. I'm angry.
Oh, okay.
So don't tell me I'm not angry.
Okay, vent your spleen.
Okay, because you said you have removed subsidy. Oh, great. We know. Whether you said it openly or quietly or secretly, we know. Some of us do know. What has happened? There is poor electricity supply today than at any point that I know in my life. Sometimes in my part of Lagos, and I'm not living in the worst part of Lagos, in a week, we only have 2 hours electricity. It's not a question of whether you have bad transformer. No. So when you have
it's supply
persistent, and it's not a sudden thing, persistent for months. And
power outage.
Yes, I am on platform of is it the disco. You will see them giving excuses. They gave us little supply. You see all the excuses from authorities and all that.
Are you on prepaid or postpaid?
I'm on prepaid. It was hellish when I was prepaid.
Don't even remember.
They will give each flat for something thousand.
Flat rates.
Where we used to pay 3,000. Flat rates. Everybody. And they don't know the Nigerian discourse so ignorant that they don't even know there's a difference between somebody who is living in 1-room apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, and 3. So they slam the same thing on everybody. Then when we fought and we bought prepaid, they carried all the backlogs, because as somebody was paying 10,000, all of a sudden he said he should be paying 37. So we all agreed we started paying 10,000. All the balance they carried and put on our prepaid. Up to now, I still have close to 300,000.
Outstanding.
Good. So the question that we ask, you remove this. What are the benefits?
None.
We have worse power outages than at any point. So what has improved in the electricity sector?
Supply.
Nobody should, celebrate because you tell me you have removed subsidy. If you remove subsidy, what are we getting in return?
Yeah, should you get something?
Better service. That's what Nigerians deserve. And that's why they are in office.
Okay.
When they are in office, the Nigerian state takes good care of them, remunerates them very well,
happy account,
and we're expecting them to do the work.
GKB, my happy account is that, yes, I'm on prepaid, but I haven't seen the NEPA man in many months now.
And you enjoy?
No. The only thing that's happy about it, I don't see NEPA people.
They don't bring unmerited.
They will soon be coming now. They are going around now to check whether people are stealing power.
Okay. Oh, steal power from where?
I don't know.
Okay, we should have a public affairs analyst, Achike Chude, joining us. Achike, good afternoon to you. Achike is still not available, but at the moment we can go to Abuja and sound Babajide Kolade-Otitoju out. Jide, so the tariff on electricity is out.
Petrol is coming,
and we are waiting for petrol. Are you angry? Are you surprised? Are you amused?
Hello.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, Jide, sorry. I said, yeah, tariff subsidy on electricity is gone. And so are you surprised? Are you amused? Are you angry? You want to go to court?
No. No. The truth is, the World Bank had been warning us to do away with these subsidies. That with these subsidies in place, we will not be able to free funds that we can actually use to freshen up infrastructure in our country as a means of even boosting the economy. When the power companies were sold, the power utilities were sold in 2013, what we expected was that they would be sold to companies that had capacity and would therefore not need any form of intervention from government. But as we have seen over the years, government has been spending money repeatedly on by way of subsidies for to ensure that the tariff does not go too high. But it is not sustainable. In March 2017, for example, FEC approved 701 billion through the CBN, and he called it Power Assurance Guarantee. In 2019, federal government spent the sum of 600 billion to bridge the shortfall in payment of monthly invoices by key stakeholders in the sector. So in 8 years, the Nigerian government will have spent 1.5 trillion to keep the sector afloat. So at some point, we know that this subsidy had to go because there's the issue of cost reflective tariff. These companies are saying that based on the subsisting tariff that they will not be able to make money. And the government also thinks that even bigger companies cannot come into Nigeria to invest in that sector because the tariff was not cost reflective, meaning that they were charging way below what could actually give them profit, or what they should actually charge, meaning that cost of production is actually higher than what is charged the end user. So at some point, government felt that this subsidy had to go so that it will no longer be giving money. Even the issue of meters, these guys could not provide meters to Nigerians. The government had to come up with money again to support them. So a country that is borrowing loans, taking loans here and there, yet it is keeping subsidies in place, it's difficult to explain, because we are just not as buoyant as we want the world to believe. If we are taking loans here and there, why are we keeping subsidies in place? The only problem that I see is we are not even generating or transmitting enough. A lot of our people are still in darkness, and I'm convinced that if we can provide sufficient electricity, Nigerians will be ready to pay. I know some neighborhoods in Lagos, for example, where they are now guaranteed at least 23 hours of electricity, but such people are prepared to pay because they are now used to enjoying light. It wasn't like that before. So another thing, government, the power companies, the discos must also be able to recover their monies that are out there. It was reported that government agencies were owing as much as 100 billion naira. So instead of pushing the burden on the ordinary people, why not do your best to recover your more than 100 billion that the government agencies and parastatals are owing you? There's no reason, for example, for the armed forces to not pay for electricity that they use. You can't simply threaten people because you are wearing a uniform and you have a rifle. No, this is business, and they have to pay for it. But we must get, if Nigerians are going to pay so much more, there must be guarantee that the services will be provided and sufficiently too.
JKB, and come to look at this, I don't need any fortune teller to tell me that electricity supply is at the base of our fortune.
Yeah.
Supply electricity and the value of the naira will go up because we will
become more productive.
Productive goods and services and so on.
Go up, yeah.
But to have sold electricity to discos and giving them money at the same time, to me, is a monkey business.
But you know, it's even gorilla business. When you remember, there was a time we were mandated to pay 1,000 per household for service charge, whether you consume light or not.
Okay.
And then we did a story, and then we realized that the discos were raking in on the average 1.5 billion a month just for service charge. You don't have to supply you. They don't have to do anything. Just that this is the standard money they will make from every household in Nigeria. That's how bad it was. So that's why I said I was very relieved. Because right now, all those shenanigans will go. You can now do business with the discos based on the need. A lot of my friends are going solar. I know that for a fact. A lot of my friends have decided that NEPA will be the backup. Or disco will be the backup. And it's, according to them, it's working. Invest a little money and you want to control your consumption.
Yeah.
The disco thing will become, and I realize the fact that it's true. Because if a lot of people, private citizens like us, have access to such a technology, and whatever they are charging will be minimal to what we need. Yeah. And it's prepaid. So
Adekunle, away from all these things he is telling us, transmission is a key factor here, because all these cross-country cables were designed to hold 5 kilowatt, 5 megawatts,
maximum,
you know. But
I think it's 7.
Now today we produce, we can't transmit.
Even when we produce, what do we produce?
Nigerians,
we don't produce enough quantum of electricity for our country. And it's a shame. Go to Republic of Benin. You say it's a tiny West African country. Go there. You spend 1 month.
But is it true we supply them?
We supply, yes. It's officially.
Where does the light we supply them come from?
Then you have to ask, the powers that be.
I think they are those who are paying are giving first order. Niger Republic.
What you prioritize?
No, it's about the Niger thing. Don't forget. That's how we started.
Straight. And you remember that, do you know that in some, for example, military formations, you enjoy more light, universities, and other. It's what you prioritize. In other countries, they prioritize the industries because they believe economy is the soul of everything. Here, we don't do that.
The 10 sub-power stations erected by the Obasanjo government, I thought was going to be a big relief to us.
See, so far in the last 10 years, we haven't made any significant progress in the power sector. Forget the rhetoric.
Something was going to be done with the Mandela Plateau.
Power roadmap that was done long time ago. The sector was privatized at the most wrong time and given to the wrong hands. Okay.
For the wrong reasons.
All right, we are joined now by a public affairs analyst, Achike Chude. Achike, good afternoon, welcome. Okay, Achike, we are looking at the electricity tariffs finally removed. Are you angry? Are you surprised? Are you amused?
Petrol.
Well, I wouldn't know how to. If it is, if it's amusement on my part, it will be the kind of amusement that comes out of not knowing what to do because over time you're just used to the absurdity that is going on in the country. So there is a way somebody that should be crying begins to laugh. So I think it is that kind of absurdity that we'll find ourselves in. Of course, I'm not amused. Of course, I am angry. Of course, this is what is supposed to be the great savior for Nigerians. You don't forget that at every point in time that federal, government officials had that opportunity, they would always tell us that the government had no business in business. And they would tell us about the non-performance of government enterprises and that the way to go is the way of privatization. And of course, that the privatization agenda has been driven all this while by the Bretton Woods Institute. That is, the capitalist, countries of the world. So they have seen it as the panacea, the solution that will solve all the problems of public institutions and enterprises that are not working. And so the fact that we have gotten back to where we are today, where we were before, inefficiency, inability of some of these institutions that have been privatized to deliver, on their objectives is clearly an indication that something obviously is wrong. Of course, you also look at it from the very beginning, how these assets were acquired in the first place. The fact that the right thing was not done at the right time. And we've always made this argument, even with regards to the Nigerian Federation, that once the foundation is right, it's wrong. Every other thing that you put on that foundation, is also wrong. So what we are having are foundational issues. And so every other thing that emanates from that, obviously, we tell you that, they are not working. The prices have gone up. But again, it's not just the prices of electricity. Virtually everything in this country has gone up over the past 15 years. It has been worse in the past, 6 years. And so, but again, we must not forget the fact that when they talked about embarking on this price increase, there was this saber rattling from the Nigerian Labour Congress and a warning to the government about how debilitating it will be.
Achike, I must interject here. Achike, I must stop you here because you didn't quite join us in good time. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your insight. But if you are aggrieved, go to court. Did I make a point there?
Yeah.
I think we must go.
Of course, it's not a court issue. I'm sure
Okay, then we must pack it all in, and that will be just all on Journalist Hangout this Sunday. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5. You may watch a repeat broadcast of this particular episode at 11:30 this night. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now.